Today, we're going to explore an amazing story from the ancient Srimad Bhagavatam. It's about a king who was also a divine being and how he taught humanity some of its most important lessons, not through big speeches, but just by the way he lived his life.
And to really get to the heart of a story, let's kick things off with a question. What's the real difference between a ruler and a leader? It's something we still think about all the time, and the life of Lord Shivadeva gives us a really powerful, timeless answer.
All right, so let's set the scene. Our story begins a long time ago with a really devout king named Nabi and his queen, Merudevi. They were such good, loving rulers that their worship caught the attention of the highest powers in the universe.
But get this, their son wasn't just any prince. The story tells us it was Lord Vishnu himself, a supreme deity who decided to be born as their child, abhadeva. I mean, his arrival was so special that the heavens literally celebrated, with gods showering flowers down from the sky.
But here's the part that's so important, really the core of his whole mission. Even though he was divine, he chose to live and act just like a perfect human being. This wasn't about showing off his power. It was all about demonstrating what humanity could be at its best. It totally set the stage for his greatest teaching method, leading by example.
So, how did that actually work when he became king? How does a divine being, acting as a human, actually govern a kingdom? This is where we start to see his incredible wisdom in action.
Well, under his rule, the kingdom was just thriving. And it wasn't just about money or power. The people were genuinely happy and peaceful. Honesty was just the way things were done. He cared for everyone like a father, which really showed that a true leader's job is to serve the people, not the other way around.
After he had built this perfect kingdom, he shared his core belief with his sons. He taught them that being human is special. It's for more than just chasing pleasure like animals do. The real point, he said, is to practice self-control and to seek something deeper, a spiritual understanding. Real happiness comes from discipline, not just from constant indulgence. And he had a lot of sons to teach this lesson to. 100 of them, to be exact. He was basically preparing an entire generation for the future. But even among all of them, one son stood out as being truly exceptional in his character and his wisdom. He chose his eldest son, Bharata, to be the next king, not just because he was the firstborn, but because he was the most worthy. And this decision had a huge impact. The kingdom became so famous under Bharata's rule that even today, a traditional name for India is Bharatavarsha, which means the land of Bharata. It's just a powerful reminder that great leadership can create a legacy that lasts forever.
So, after he fulfilled all his duties as a king and a father, Rishabhadeva did something completely radical. He decided to enter the next phase of his teaching, which meant leaving everything, and I mean everything behind, to show the world an even higher principle.
Just look at this transformation. It's incredible. He traded the royal palace for the open forest. He gave up power and attachment for peace and absolute freedom. He was showing everyone that even a king who has it all must learn to let go to find the things that truly last.
Now, his method for teaching this was, well, pretty extreme. He started wandering around like a silent sage, but he acted like a madman just to prove how little he cared about what society thought of him. And as you can imagine, people just didn't get it. They laughed at him, they mocked him, some even threw stones.
And yet, through all of that, he stayed completely calm, totally unaffected. That was the real lesson. He was demonstrating that true inner peace has nothing to do with what other people think about you. It's a kind of strength that comes from inside, from being free from needing praise and not being afraid of insults.
So, in this final stage of his life, his silence became his most powerful message. His actions alone were the teaching, and they offered lessons that have stuck around for thousands of years.
You can really boil down his whole complex example into this simple, clear guide. Through the way he lived, he showed that the road to inner peace is built on 3 pillars: getting rid of greed, letting go of anger, and abandoning all that false pride and ego. His actions, not his words, were his final lesson.
At the very end of his time on earth, with his mission complete, he left his body peacefully. The texts say that the gods themselves praised him, calling him the perfect teacher of renunciation, which is really the art of letting go.
So when you put it all together, what are the big takeaways from his incredible life? Well, he showed us that human life is meant for more than just pleasure, that real happiness is found in simplicity and self-control, and that we should do our duty with our whole heart and then learn to stay calm and peaceful no matter what the world throws at us. And that brings us right back to where we started.
His whole life was an answer to that question about leadership. But it also leaves us with a question for ourselves. In our modern, crazy, complicated world, which of these ancient lessons about duty, about simplicity, about inner peace, do you think matters most today?